So the last few years, MOOCs were generally focused on uh, micro credentials and certifications. So they were trying to get more users to buy certificates, which were generally 50, $100. So they're on the lower end of the price. Now, in the last year or year and a half, and going forward, they're looking at online degrees and corporate training. Unlike the original MOOCs, unlike the sort of the certificate market, which is generally pretty new, the low cost certificates, unaccredited low cost certificates, a new market, and it might take a longer time to generate the revenues at scale. But corporate training and online degrees are existing markets where already existing providers make tens of hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And now the MOOC providers are using the foothold they gain in the certificate sort of market and going into these major markets and hoping to divert some of the revenues that are already being spent into their platforms. For a while, there is like a balance has been restored. Like a year ago or 2 years ago, I thought everything will be fully behind a paywall. But now it seems like some sort of balance has been there where these MOOCs act as a marketing channel for like corporate training or online degrees. So there is a business sort of, they also make a lot of money from it, but they also directly, but they also, it also feeds into some expensive products that they're building. Yeah, so Coursera and edX, I would say they're like four major platforms, and Udacity is generally moved away from free. I, but still they are very essential to the MOOC origin story, so we still include them in our stats and analysis. Coursera and Udacity are the most heavily funded sort of companies in the space, and they're more aggressive with the changes when it comes to monetization. edX is a non-profit, and FutureLearn until now didn't have a lot of resources. They just raised $50 million now, $1 million or around that number, and they'll probably invest more in the marketing, and they'll get a bit more aggressive over the next year or so. But so because Coursera and Udacity were always like aggressive, led by some of the best VC firms in the Silicon Valley, they generally make changes much faster, and they also spend a lot more, and that's why they're like some of the most successful in terms of monetization. They're not still profitable, but Coursera last year made $140 million, while Udacity made $90 million. We don't know how much they lost, but in terms of they're at least making 100 million plus revenues. edX is around $50-60 million range, and I think FutureLearn is just about 8 to 10 million pounds or something. So that was the number they released last year. So, and I think they will catch up now that they've raised more money. So it seems there's a lot of money being made, but we still don't know if the unit economics are sound, and whether they will will they increase the prices in the future, because unfortunately outsiders like us don't have insight into their finances. I think their B2C right now is very strong, but once we don't know numbers, but if the corporate training and the online degrees, if they get strong revenues from them, I think then it makes them viable to go into IPO. Udacity is still figuring out their model. It's funny, but they keep changing. Sebastian Thrun sort of got involved with the business again. The previous CEO left last year. Now they have a new CEO, and they sort of changed how their pricing works, the product works. They added mentorship. They changed it. So still changes going on, and it seems every year, at least from an outsider's perspective, Udacity is like a completely different company, and they went from 500 employees to 330 employees at the end of last year. So it's always a roller coaster with Udacity. So it's hard to predict with them. But I think they are more suitable to get acquired, just because they own the whole content. They own the nano degree credential, which is what I feel like in terms of branding, I think it's the most popular credential in technology, at least. So I think if somebody like, let's say, LinkedIn, or Microsoft wants to pair their LinkedIn Learning with a credential, Udacity might be the best sort of, if they want to buy something and not create their own, Udacity might be a better fit. Class Central at this moment is bootstrapped. We are profitable. So, and what we try to do is we hire from our own sort of community people who either use Class Central or MOOC, have done plenty of MOOCs. Within our even small team, we are completely remote. We don't have any offices. We have people from China, Australia, India, and we don't go to specific countries to find them. It's just where, our users are, and they sort of reach out to me and we find out things for them to do. Within our own, I think we have done like 300, 400 courses amongst ourselves, couple of online degrees, so it's sort of like a product built by learners for the learners, which also means that we are not true professionals and sometimes things move slowly, but slowly, so the Class Central, like the team itself, like we look what we are trying to learn, and then probably in the process we build a product out of it. That's sort of the long-term vision of it, is like instead of just hiring experts who know what to do, we find people who don't know what to do, but in the journey itself we hopefully figure out what to do, and then eventually build a product that other people can use too. And that's how I started Class Central. I just built it for myself. It was a one-page site to list a few MOOCs. All I wanted was to sort them by start date, and it sort of just happened to be at the right place, right time. So I think that I want to continue doing that process. Like we want to focus on things that work for, one of our goals is to make online education work for everyone. So I think we try, we are sort of a Google for, effectively a Google for online education. But we want to focus on not just the expensive products, but the ones that we want to focus on courses that work for most amount of people. And that's why we still sort of only focus on MOOCs. Yeah, so we have 3 sort of business models in the order of how much we make. The first is affiliate. So if you come to work to Class Central and let's say you pick a course on Coursera and you end up purchasing certificate, we get a cut. But a majority of the courses on our platform, we don't get a cut. There are platforms like India's Swayam, which is a government platform. They don't have affiliate model. They don't even charge for their courses, or they charge very little for a certificate. So we don't list based on where we make money. The second is advertising. And the third is, which is very small at this point, is people wanting the catalog into their own internal LMS. So I think long term, once we map out the online education scene, then I think that might be a much bigger business model, as we can sell the catalog data and APIs that companies can integrate, and companies have a lot of money.
Like Degree?
Which, there are many, and
That's what they do, right?
And I don't think their catalog is as strong as ours, So I think the opportunity for us is much, because we focus on B2C, and I think any product that works in B2C can also work in B2B. No, I mean, the only thing I'll add is if you're really interested in MOOCs and the business of MOOCs, we write a lot about MOOCs. So we have a blog which we call MOOC Report, where we published over 700 articles. We do in-depth industry news and analysis. It's similar to what you do at IBL. So I think you have a newsletter, we have a newsletter. So sign up if you want to keep up with what's happening in the MOOC space.